All right, so we are live.
Yoo-hoo!
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining in. So we are live on YouTube as well as on LinkedIn. And today's topic is quite interesting because we'll be discussing COVID-19 and its impact on mental fitness. As we know that we are social animals, we love to socialize, and right now, according to International Labour Organization and World Economic Forum, more than 81% of the workforce is somehow partially or fully locked up. So all of us, we are seeing a situation which is a unique situation in the recent history of mankind. We are isolated, we are confined to our places. Somehow, thanks to God that these restrictions are a little bit over in many countries, and I hope the situation will get over very soon. So guys, whoever watching us on YouTube and LinkedIn, please feel free to comment in the comment section, hit the like button, share our video, and tell us from where are you joining in. Do mention your location so that we could know that from where are you joining in during this live session. And feel free to contribute, do comment about the topic, share your thoughts, share your opinion, and give fruitful suggestions to the participants and to the panel as well. So today I have a very, very interesting panel with me. I have a co-host, Kinza. She is joining us all the way from Amsterdam, Netherlands, and she is an HR professional. And thank you very much, and she'll be joining me as a co-host. And then we have none other than Dr. Renée Moore. I think you do not need any formal introduction, but just for the people who are watching you for the very first time from my platform, Renée is a best-selling author, as well as she is a top motivational speaker in Germany. And you're also providing coaching sessions to the top executives, and you are a business mentor. So Renée, thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you so much for having me again. This is the second time I get to go live with you, and it's always an honor.
Thank you, Renée. It's an absolute honor to have you with us, and I really look forward to an inspirational discussion.
Me too. Thank you.
So I think people are watching us from US, Qatar, Dubai, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia. So I think it's a quite diverse audience that we have. And thanks to the broad networking on LinkedIn, that we have connections from so many countries, and we can interact virtually, we can have their opinion, and we can get to know that how people are living during the time of crisis in these countries.
Yeah, super. I think it's wonderful. You have a great, expansive audience. I want to say hi to everybody, and it's really nice to be with you. I've had a privilege in working in many of these countries already, and it's nice to connect with everybody globally again together with you. So thank you.
So, I mean, getting back to our topic, COVID-19 has created a health crisis, which is quite obvious, and it's visible in all countries. And now this crisis is leading towards an economic crisis. And I mean, history tells us whenever there's an economic crisis, it affects not only our physical strength in a way, but it also creates a negative impact on the mental fitness. So Renée, being a motivational speaker, how do you see the impact of isolation, the impact of physical distancing, especially from work point of view, because you are a business mentor as well. So how do you see the correlation of these kind of crises with the motivation? I mean, in normal circumstances, we have a goal, we have a clear picture, we know where we have to go, what we have to do, from where we could find something in terms of work, in terms of self-motivation. But in these time of crisis, everything is vague. People are not clear about the short-term future, how the things would like to be. So how it is creating a negative impact on our motivation?
I think that's a very, very good question. And as you said, I'm a motivational speaker, but I'm also a neuroscientist. I have a doctorate in neuroscience.
Exactly.
and have spent a lot of time with this topic on the scientific level and on the human behavioral level. I have to say, my experience, I've had some very concrete experiences also with my customers, with my business clients over the last couple of weeks. And the responses are varied. It's varied. It's based on your personality. It's based on your physical makeup. It's based on your mental stamina. It's based on your resilience. Different people are having different levels of challenges with this isolation topic and with the whole crisis in general. There are what I call the unstoppable people, which, you know, my boat shop is Be Unstoppable, that say, okay, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. We see this as an opportunity. We see this as a chance, and we're just going to keep going. And maybe we even go a little bit stronger ahead with our goal. And that's really great, but that's certainly not a style for everyone. Another style that I see very common with my business clients is those that are the steady doers. So there's the unstoppables and the steady doers that say, okay, we're going to do what's possible, but we're also going to be realistic about what's not possible. And we're going to be open to the fact that not everything's possible right now. And then there's the people that I call a little bit the shrinking violets. It's a little bit our personality. When things get tough, I'm just going to go inside myself and I'm going to get clear. And there's nothing wrong with that, to get clear with myself and get clear with what I need right now and forget the rest of the world. Maybe it's not a shrinking violet. Maybe it's more of a tortoise, that we're going to pull our head back in. We're just going to go inside of ourselves and focus on what we need to do for ourselves right now. And of course, there's different variations of all of these models, but I find that all three of these are effective coping strategies. They're simply effective coping strategies. For me, the unstoppable person, I don't even watch the news anymore, except maybe once a day, you know, but not all day long. I don't listen all day long. I just listen once a day. I get the important things, but I don't let myself be overly consumed, because I find from my personality and for who I am, if I get consumed in all of the news reports all day long, then I might become a tortoise too and pull my head in and say, I can't handle it either. So my way of coping is to say, okay, just the facts and let's go. And yeah, so that's what I see. That's an oversimplification, of course. I'm not sure, maybe you guys have seen a different pattern than what I've seen. Do you have a different type of pattern than what you've seen between you two?
I think it's the same for me. You've given quite a good observation, and the three categories that you've defined. If you may allow, if I build upon this and ask you a question, how do you see the role of leaders per se during this time of crisis? Because they certainly, do you feel any certain character traits that they probably weren't giving much weightage to previously, and now they need to take that into consideration while managing, leading their teams, and to maintain their mental fitness? And for leader, I would just like to specify, I'm talking about someone who's leading a multi-billion-dollar company or even a small startup. I would love to hear your thoughts.
So when leading people, being an unstoppable person, I tend to forget about the people that like to be the tortoise and go inside of themselves and deal with things in a different way. I think an effective leader has to be open to all types of personalities and the reality of what's affecting everyone today. I just spoke with a client of mine who has 3 children and can't work and is not able to move her business forward and has a lot of anxiety about the future. Not only the future, but today. How am I going to make it through another day trying to build my business and support my husband? And this is a very real thing in Germany. Build my business, support my husband, and take care of 3 children. I'm not used to having to do all of this. It's too much. It's too much. And I think an effective leader, and I'm having to learn this myself, has to take into account the different situations of what's going on. Of course, as a business leader, I also have the opinion we have to find the way to keep motivated and keep getting the best out of us every single day. What is possible? What is possible? And I think even from the people that retreat into themselves and have a hard time being productive, they can still contribute on the workforce. And we should encourage those people and ask those people, what is possible for you to contribute under these circumstances? And I think I'll have to come back to the second part of your question. I'll have to remind me, because if you don't mind, this just led me to another thought, and that is, I mean, our economy is suffering terribly, and partly because of the regulations, but partly because of the fact that we all feel at a standstill, and we're not able to project into the future, and we're not able to motivate ourselves, some certain people, into the future. We're not able to think about how business is in the future. And as business leaders, we have to say, okay, here's where we are today, and we do need short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals for us in business, in our private lives, in every aspect of our lives. We have to think, okay, here's the situation. The borders are closed. We can't do as much as we need to do, whatever the situation. But Wednesday, there's a new announcement coming out, and there's going to be new changes. And then we have to adjust. We have to continue to be adjusting and flexible, and continuing, I think, to grow ourselves and our business. And I'm sorry, I forgot the last part of the question. Did I miss something? What was it? Was it about motivation?
About keeping your.
I think it was about leading and motivating people, that how leaders can lead during the time of crisis, and how they can motivate their workforce.
Ensure their mental fitness during this time.
Yeah, assuring your mental fitness is very important. I just got, before our interview, I just returned from what I call my hour of power. I schedule non-negotiable me time in my calendar every single day. I work at a very high level, very high energy level. There's a lot that's demanded from me every single day, with clients building multi-million euro businesses and big companies and and there's a lot that's demanded from me every single day. And in order for me to stay mentally healthy and physically healthy, I have to take what I call my hour of power every day with my dog. And no, man, you have to come and go hiking with us, because like I said earlier, Carla misses you, and you have to go hiking with us. But this hour of power is in my calendar every single day. It's non-negotiable me time. And when it's not there, and some people like to do extreme sports. Some people need jogging. But the mistake we make when we get into a crisis, and when we get into too much stress, is we eliminate that thing that helps us to stay mentally fit, focused, and healthy. And that's often sports, meditation. For me, it's my hour of power. It's a combination of sport and walking meditation in the forest. And it's really non-negotiable. Don't let those good habits and good rituals go. I mean, I know a lot of people now are watching a lot of Netflix, and the other person, eating popcorn on the sofa and watching Netflix, because that's a coping style. But other people are going, woohoo, now I have a chance. I have time for me to do sport 3 times a day, and I'm getting fit. I wish I could tell you which category I'm falling in. It's not Netflix, and it's not the sport people, but non-negotiable time to recharge your own batteries, because only when you can recharge your own batteries can you give the best of yourself out. How do I do that, Renee, when I'm on the job and I'm working for Mercedes, and I don't have an hour between 9 and 6 or 8 and 6 to take that hour of power? You have to plan it in the morning. For most of us, we have to plan it in the morning. For morning people, plan it in the morning. Get up at 5:30 instead of 6:30. Get up at 5:30, do your hour of power in the morning, do your meditation, do whatever you need to do to keep yourself intrinsically motivated. We need it now more than ever to keep our motivation intrinsically high. Or if you're an evening person, do it in the evening, but schedule it. You have to, we're all business people. You have to schedule those appointments in your calendar, and that one you have to schedule too.
Yeah, and I think mental fitness a lot depends on the positivity that you carry in your mind. As you rightly mentioned, that, if we are not mentally positive, if we cannot maintain our mental sharpness, how can we, engage and motivate others? So this is exactly when you ask this question, that what you guys are doing. I think one of my friends, he called me some days ago, and he asked me that how are you spending your time? It's too much time. I mean, we are not going to office. A lot of people, they're working from home, and sports activities are completely banned. Fitness studios and gyms, they are completely closed. So how are you spending your time? Then I just told him that, for you, maybe it's a lot of time. For me, time is always a limited resource.
Yeah.
I have so many things to do that even during the time of pandemic, during the time of lockdown, I am more busier than my normal days, because I have a lot of stuff to do. I have started my own book, and I am very, very hopeful, and I have my fingers crossed that I'll be publishing that book before the crisis would get over.
Cool.
That's
Good
a
luck
great,
with
right?
that, Newman.
yeah. How about
And
you?
Oh,
You do
me?
it all that time. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm actually now learning a new language since I recently moved. I'm learning Dutch, and then I
Like,
love to express myself in, sorry?
I said, good luck with that.
I think it's actually easier than German. uh, uh, but anyway, other than that, because I love to express myself through words, so I write poetry and I manage my own poetry account. I do it in English and my own language as well. So that is what helps me, cope with the
Yeah.
stress
Yeah.
of it.
We start focusing. That's a great coping skill. Exactly what you said. You focus on that personal goal that you had all this time,
Yeah.
that you now have chance to achieve it, or at least start these new behaviors. You have time right now, and even if you don't achieve it, you have time to set in these new behaviors, these new habits, these new rituals that you should try to keep also when things get going again. And yeah,
I mean, there's a famous saying. People say that, empty mind is a Satan's place. So don't keep your mind empty. I mean, just engage your mind. The way we engage with our family, the way we engage with our relationship, that's how exactly we have to engage with our mind. So we really do not need to sit, 8 hours right in front of the TV and listening to our favorite music or listening to our favorite documentary or series on Netflix, rather than pick something new
yeah.
and try to experiment the things which you have not experienced before, things you have not tried before. Just try to bring them in your schedule and experiment.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes you might even fail in the experiment. I tried cooking. Mm-mm. Not my thing. So when the master chef comes up after this, I don't think I'll be a contestant. A lot of other people will be, but yeah.
That's, I think Noman is a good cook. Aren't you a good cook? And your wife is a good cook. You're both good.
My wife is a good cook. You get it wrong.
Okay, we have to have a cooking class. That would be good too. But exactly what you said. Pick something. Do something. Do something. The best way to keep your energy high, and the best way, anti-aging. I have to say, the best anti-aging is creating new neuronal synapses by doing something new. It's the best thing you can do for your brain, is just do something new. And the opposite is Netflix. Netflix, like kills the neuronal synapses. And cooking and learning Dutch, and me, I tell you, I'm busier than ever right now. I have my 80% of my customers are people that are self-employed, have small businesses, and are people that are ready to really get going. There, I did a great video today on personalities and how we perceive the crisis, and I classified it as the pessimist, the optimist, and the opportunist. And you may have heard this before. The pessimist says, "Well, the glass is half empty." And the pessimist says the glass is half empty. The optimist says the glass is half full, and the opportunist says, "What water? I drank it." While you were busy discussing if the dear optimist and pessimist, while you were busy discussing if the glass was half empty or half full, I drank it. Yeah, and that's the thing right now in business, and I'm an advocate of the opportunist, is that we have to look, especially small businesses, which is where I spend most of my time, is we have to look, what is the market niche that's now open for us? And while the tortoises are pulling their head in and saying, oh my God, what can we do with this open market space right now? How can we adapt our products? I don't know how many coaches, trainers, baraters, consultants, we've developed online products in the last month alone where there was no online product, and online marketing channels and everything that needed to be there before. We've been saying this for 5 years, but now there was a definite need to have everything online, and we got it done in a short period of time. But that's the thing. There's an opportunity with a crisis. With a crisis, there's always an opportunity, and we have to
So
take.
I think the essence of the motivation and the mental fitness is that just keep yourself busy, try to experiment, get some new kind of skills, try to learn things, and try to live in a different way, and just adapt this kind of situation and feel positive about it, rather
Yeah.
than just getting into your passive zone and feel like that, okay, once things will get to normal, then I will get into the mainstream. That's not the way to do it.
No. what is the actual situation today? And I always give this tip of advice. You and I know, man, we live in Germany and we know the German culture, and it's a lot of people are, oh my God, the world's never going to be like it was before, and the whole world is ending. And different cultures take, that's a generalization. I don't mean that about everybody, but there's a big concern that everything's just never going to be the same. And I spend a lot of time teaching people how to be mentally fit with this topic. And that is, if you're in this panic mode, oh my God, the world's going to end, write down on a piece of paper, take all of this stuff out of the mental space and into the physical space by writing it down. Write down on a piece of paper the worst case scenario. I can lose. Okay, the worst case scenario is that we die, and that is the worst case scenario. That is the worst case scenario that we have here. So, but we're going to leave that one aside. Let's take the other worst case scenarios. The worst case scenario is we lose our job, we lose our house, we lose our marriage, we lose our whatever, we lose all of these things. Write all of those things down on a piece of paper, and then write down, what would I do if this was a reality? Okay, I lose my job. Well, I would finally have the chance to learn a new skill and look for a new job. I'm pissed off at my colleagues and my boss anyway. I wanted a new job. So write down, what would you do? What would your tactic be? What would you do if that thing became a reality? And bring it all out. And I say, spend an hour doing that. And then take that piece of paper and put it right here in the drawer, and don't look at it again until that worst case scenario becomes a reality, and then get on with your day. Then your mind is able to relax a little bit. It knows that you've prepared for the worst case scenario the best that you can. Your whole nervous system is relaxed because you've actually done something about it. You've written out a plan, and then you have free space again for creativity, and that you just go one step at a time forward with what the current situation is. And I know we have a lot of people watching that say, but I'm career focused and I don't know what's going to happen with my career. I have this hair on my ring, but I don't know what's going to happen with my career, and I'm very career focused. So what am I going to do now? Because I can't get ahead. I'm sitting in my home office. If you're working, the rule is always find what result you can deliver now. What can you deliver now, even though you're in your home office? How can you make your manager's life easier? How can you make your customer's life better? What can you deliver now, and how can you stay visible to the people in your upline, your chain upline, that are responsible for your promotion? And do that. Focus on that. More than ever right now, focus on the results you deliver and the way that you make people's lives better right now. That's a short.
I think it can lead to our next question, which is about fear of losing your business and fear of losing your job. I mean, I would like to present some numbers which have been estimated by International Labour Organization, and I was talking about these numbers a couple of weeks ago, and unfortunately, now things are popping up and these numbers are piling, and we have seen a crisis in the aviation industry. Now we can see a lot of people are losing their jobs, and working hours are being reduced. For example, in Germany, 470,000 employers, they requested for short working hours. And I know in Middle Eastern countries, they have already reduced 40% of the salaries and wages of the people. So, I mean, now the after effects are coming on the surface, and people have a fear that they might be losing their job, they might be losing their businesses. As you mentioned, that most of your clients, they are basically the startups and the small businesses, and they are feeling the heat more than the big employers.
Yeah.
So,
I think we're all feeling the heat. I do think we're all feeling the heat. I do. Yeah.
So what do you suggest leaders of these small businesses and leaders of these companies, that how they can engage and inspire and motivate their workforce? What would be the right strategy to lead from the front? Because if I have a fear of losing my job, then it will impact on my engagement level. It will definitely impact on the productivity. So already you are under economic crisis. Then if people have a fear of losing their business, losing their job, then again it's the cherry on the top.
Yeah. This is a very delicate situation because, of course, it's industry specific and job specific of how real that threat is of losing your job. Okay, if you're in a small business that the doors have been closed and the company is filing insolvency, you have a different realization of this fact. When you're in it's a difficult company to answer. It's a difficult question to answer globally, and just to make a generalization about. If you're a leader of a small business, it's good to be honest about what the situation is. It's very important not to threaten your employees, to make them feel valued and safe as much as you can. But I guess it's also very important to be honest. How honest can you be? Okay, next week I'm filing for bankruptcy. Can you be that honest? I guess you have to be. Honesty, transparency, and to let them know that you're in the same boat with them and to help them feel as secure as possible. So don't threaten your employees every day. Oh my God, well, try not to discuss all the emotions that are going through your head, maybe. As a business owner or leader, probably try to take those things behind closed doors and you deal with your emotions on your own level and present the facts and present without getting too emotional to it. That's a tough question. Do you guys have any?
I think that's the best answer that someone could suggest during the time of crisis. That transparency, honesty is the key to lead from the front.
Yeah.
And it's not that what you are saying. I mean, it has been endorsed by big consultancy firms like PricewaterhouseCoopers, KPMG. I have read some research over the topic that how leaders can really motivate and engage their people during a time of crisis. And this is exactly what they have mentioned, that, first leaders have to be transparent. First leaders have to be honest, and they have to own the situation and tell people that what would be the short-term and the long-term plan.
Yeah.
Before we will move to our next question, I think Kinza would like to propose this question. I will check out some comments so that we could engage our people as well. So we have Marisol Santos, and she's watching us from Houston, Texas, from your place.
Woo-hoo! From my home country. Texas is a country.
So Marisol, thank you very much for joining in. Then we have Nazia, she's joining us from Dubai. Then we have Shazad from Lahore. And then we also have Huria Abbasi, she is from Bahrain. And Hatim, he's also from Bahrain.
Super.
And then we have a couple of more people. They did not mention their location. And Marisol is saying resilience and self-efficacy are very, very important during the time of crisis. Then we got a question from Manish. Manish is asking from India how you see world economics post-pandemic. I think you have already answered these questions, so I will not repeat these questions because they have been covered during our discussion. Then we have Mary.
Very good questions. Thank you.
Yeah. And then we have Chetan. Chetan is also, I think, joining from India. It's going to be different era now, of course, a different perspective of living life, totally a new world once everything starts settling. Trust will really hurt in future.
Yeah,
and
I'd like to talk about that for a minute because I think there are pros and cons to this new way of perceiving life and new way of going forward. I think after a crisis, there's always wins and perceived losses. Yeah. But overall, the trend will be this way. Yeah. I can't do that in the screen. I'll have to do that in the screen. The trend will be up. Naturally, we are experiencing an economic crisis at the moment, but I think that will also steadily improve and increase. And how do we go about that? Okay. Think about the positive things. What comes out of this new change? What comes out of this thing? Oh my God, things will be different. Some things will be exactly the same. Some things will be exactly the same. And I think more things than you expect will be exactly the same. That's my opinion. Some things will be changed for the better. Some things will be changed differently or for the worse. And it's how we go about with what we do with these things is what matters the most. But But I don't like to think, oh my God, everything's going to be different. Okay, yeah, there's opportunity there. What are we going to make out of it? What are we going to make out of it for our personal lives? And I see it kind of as a rate limiting change of what we're going to experience. It's not that the whole world's going to go away and our house is going to go away and our life's going to go away and our freedom's not going to go away. Right now it feels that way a little bit, but I think there will be some changes, but I think it will be in a positive direction. My opinion. What do you guys think?
No, we were just listening to you very carefully.
That's my prediction. If I have a glass crystal ball.
I was about to say, it also depends, like you said earlier on, if you're an optimistic, pessimistic, or an opportunist. So that's how they're going to view it. And also because when you mentioned about, people who fear losing their jobs, but then we see many people who've already lost their jobs, and obviously my heart goes out to them.
Yes.
I personally feel for them, it's even more difficult to stay positive.
Yes.
If this, they have mouths to feed and all. What coping mechanism or what strategies would you recommend them, to keep their spirits high and, keep them motivated?
Yeah, I have to say that even at the beginning of the crisis, nothing related to the crisis, I let go an employee based on performance, lack of performance, which I had been having these discussions for a long period of time. And it was unfortunate that it happened right at the time but I couldn't wait any longer. And I had to make this decision, and I made it very clear that it wasn't related to the crisis. So I think that's also happening too. I think you have to really look that, I'm going to come back to your question, but you have to really look right now that your performance is really good right now, because if your performance has been bad in the past or unsatisfactory in the past, now is a perfect excuse for people to make a decision to let you go from your job. What do you do if you have lost your job, and how do you maintain that positive attitude? First of all, look at what positive can you gain out of this experience. Is it that you now have an opportunity to learn something new? Were you really in the career of your dreams? Were you really on your career track? Were you really performing your best? Take an inventory of what is the reality of the situation. Try to get out of the emotions. Oh my God, I lost my job. And try to get into the reality of the situations and say, okay, yeah, now I have an opportunity. What would I have done differently? What would I have done better? What do I want out of this for me? And then go after the career that fits for you better. Most of the time, okay, so there are people losing their job because of the economic crisis right now, but I guarantee you, if you're a top performer and you're an asset to your company, A, you'll get your job back if the company still exists, or B, you will get another job very quickly, because we still need workforce. I laid off one person based on performance, but I hired 5 people in the month of April, 5. I doubled my little team in the month of April. So I'm an opportunist. I switched everything to online and have sold programs and projects, and switched everything to online in the month of April. I took that opportunity.
And you're also creating opportunities for other people because you're hiring. So
yeah, exactly. Look for those creative opportunities. Yeah, for each of us. And I'm really sorry for the people that are struggling financially right now, that are struggling with all of this fear. But I just want to assure you, this is a limited situation. This is not going to last forever. It's not. Find your center, find what you can do positive for you right now. Short-term goal, middle-term goal, long-term goal, and focus on that. And little tiny steps. My main message is imperfect action. Set your goal high and then take little steps, even right now in the crisis, little tiny imperfect steps toward that goal that you have. Forget being a perfectionist. Just go towards your goal, little tiny steps. Your brain will reward you with a big flood of dopamine because you're moving towards your goal. And if something doesn't turn out right, quit moving forward, make a step to the left, and then keep going forward. But keep going forward towards your goal. It's the most important thing. It's not to say, okay, forget everything, goals are off, everything I wanted is off because of a crisis. Keep going towards your goal.
And I think that's the best advice. And that's the big difference between the highly successful people and the people who cannot actually, achieve their goals. The secret of success is consistency.
Yeah.
For example, I can recall a quotation by Bruce Lee. Everybody knows Bruce Lee, the famous karate and judo karate guy. He said that I practice one kick 100 times to make it perfect.
At least.
Yeah. So I mean, if you would like to have perfection right after 10 tries, that probably won't work. So just keep on trying. Try to tap the door at least 100 times. Then the opportunity will definitely come to you, and that's the big difference. That differentiates between the people who are highly successful and the people who are quite average in their life.
That's very good. Never ever give up. Ever.
Yeah.
And also,
I mean, no pain, no gain. As simple.
And like you mentioned about Bruce Lee, and I actually would like to add Eleanor Roosevelt's quote, where she says that, do at least one thing every day that scares you the most.
Yes.
So I think now is the perfect time that, even if it could be anything small, but once you achieve that, that's when your brain releases dopamine, and then you are activated to go further in achieving other goals.
I love that quote. I always say your goal should be big enough to scare you and excite you all at the same time. If they don't scare you, they're not big enough. Yeah. So allow yourself big goals, but break those goals into little tiny steps. And right now, little micro steps. If you need micro steps, take micro steps, but keep taking those goals and do something every day that scares you. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I mean, we can take the example of fitness. When you hit the gym and you try to work on your abs and you try to work on your bicep muscles, so you go for 10 reps, you go for 12 reps, but actually the miracles start happening after those 12 reps.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to go for the supersets.
You have to go for the supersets.
But 90% of the people, what they do when it starts, paining your muscles, when it starts hitting your muscles, they quit. They feel like that, okay, I'm going to break my bicep, I'm going to break my abs, so I have to stop. But actually, they have to start from there.
That's a good analogy for crisis. When it starts to hurt, don't give up. That's a great analogy for the crisis situation. I love that. So when it starts.
And we got another comment from Abby. And I don't know, she did not mention the location, and I cannot see from where she is joining in and what she's saying. When change is forced, we are forced to evolve, and that's her opinion. Some exciting and progressive changes are to come when the fear settles. Loving your advice. Oh, she is watching from Massachusetts.
Ah, cool.
And from your country.
Yoo-hoo! Super, super, super. When the fear settles, I love that image because, that's what it's like right now. The energy's up here and everything's everywhere, and it's going to settle. It's already settling. And what we need to try to do is say, okay, what can we do to influence the settling? How can we make the fear settle faster for us? What can we do about that? And that's why I gave these hacks on writing things down. And that's probably the best hack, is writing the worst case scenario and what you're going to do about it and put it in a drawer. And then your brain already lets go and says, okay, I've done something about it. But find a way that you can proactively help the fear to settle. What works for you, and not just wait for it to settle. What do you have control over? What do you have control over yourself? You have control over maybe part of your calendar. Maybe you have control over all of your calendar right now. You have control over your emotions. You have control over your mental things. What can I do to be mentally fit? What can I do to be physically fit? What do I have control over now? And do something about that. You can floss every day. You have control of that. You can do your I was with a colleague yesterday. He's 58 years old. He looks like he's 30 though. And he says, I do 4,000 sit-ups a day. And I was like, oh my God, I could just do one. But that's his way of coping. He gets up at 5:30 and does 4,000 sit-ups this day, or 2 hours of whatever the next day. And that's his way of coping. And then he feels like he started his day with control over what he can have control over. And then the day starts. And that's a good tip. I mean, we're not all morning people and getting up at 5:30 in the morning doing 4,000 crunches. God knows I'm not. But how can you start your day? Some people meditate. Some people, sometimes I take my walk in the morning whenever I can. Lately I'm in meetings, but how can I take control over the tone of my day? And that's probably one of the best mental hacks you can have, is take control at the beginning of your day over what you can take control over.
So since you've mentioned about taking control, I would also like to ask, how important do you feel gratitude is at this point in time? Especially starting your day with, even because I remember, I do follow and read a lot because I'm an NLP practitioner as well. They say that every day, the journaling aspect, that write 3 things that you're grateful for, and it could be something really small as well, just like a smile from, I don't know, someone or what. How do you think how important it is now, and how they can
Very important. Very important. It's scientifically demonstrated that gratitude releases happy hormones in your brain. It's a direct connection. They've done fMRI resonance studies of what happens in your brain when you are gratitude, when you go through your gratitude list, when you write down your gratitude list. You can see the areas light up with all the great happy hormones. So it's a scientifically based practice, not just an emotional energy practice, that's one of the 4 things you can do to feel happier now, is having gratitude. Very important about happiness. 50% of our happiness is genetic. And that means there's a genetic predisposition in your life of whether you're happy or you're not happy, but that doesn't mean you can't influence those genes. I want you to keep that in mind. And then 40% is based upon what happens to you, and the other 10% you have direct control over. But you can reprogram easily this 50% of what happens to you, working subconsciously, gratitude, releasing, self-love, all of these different things. You can influence that, and you can also influence your genes. Once you take control over that 50% that you have direct control over, what you can do something now that you can't do about anything about what happened to you in the past, but you can reframe it, and you can put a different perspective on it, and you can feel happier about it. You have direct control over 50%. The other 50% you can influence with that 50%. Gratitude journaling, very, very scientifically founded, is a great way to improve your happiness. Random acts of kindness, doing something nice for somebody, paying for, when you have an extra 30 minutes on your parking ticket when you park and you paid to park, and giving that to somebody else who doesn't expect it. Random acts of kindness also significantly improve the levels of happiness hormone in your brain. And there's lots of other things you can do. Sports, endorphins, all of those great things. If you're into yoga, yoga is a great way to improve your happiness and your positive outlook on life. I try to do more yoga. My perfect day would start with an hour of yoga and then an hour of power in the afternoon, but sometimes I have to pick between both of those at the moment. Yeah, there's lots of things you can do. Look at what makes you feel good. Another important thing is talking about things that make you happy. So having an experience that made you happy and then telling other people about it later reproduces the same experience. Yeah, reproduces that same experience in your brain, gives you those same happy hormones as if you're reliving it again. Your brain is a great flight simulator. You can relive it and relive it and relive it and relive it. And yeah, great happiness hacks. That's a good point. Thank you.
Thank you for your perspective.
Yeah. It's fun with you guys.
And I think it's the best time to resetting in your way that, if you were feeling unhappy in your past and quite recently, then think about it. What are the reasons? And then focus on the possibilities. As you mentioned that, if you go for everything, you will not get anything. Yeah. So better to define your span of control and go for the things which are really possible, that you can easily attach to, you can easily get them, and you can, first go for the low-hanging fruit and then try for the optimum ones. And this is exactly what we have to do in our life and with our mental fitness, that if we keep on trying everything and everything won't work, then definitely we'll be in a situation where we'll feel passive, demotivated, and we'll get into a passive zone. From it would be very difficult to come out of that passive zone so easily. So better to focus on the things which are basically in our control, which we can manipulate easily, and then slowly and steadily building on top of that.
Absolutely. And what that does, low-hanging fruit for me is short-term goals, easy short-term goals, and then mid-term goals and long-term goals. What actually happens is when you achieve those short-term goals, you also get these happiness hormones and this dopamine and all this great stuff. And that increases your self-confidence.
Exactly.
When you've achieved something and you've got it improves your mood, improves your happiness, but it increases your self-confidence. And then you should re-examine your midterm and long-term goals and say, hey, I'm a new person now. I have a different level of self-confidence. Maybe I need to adjust those midterm and long-term goals a little bit higher. And then when you reach the next level of goals, you have the next level of confidence, self-confidence, and you can keep adjusting your goals to match that new person that you are. Go for those low-hanging fruits and then reevaluate what your next steps are.
And pick up something new, completely new. For example, I can quote my recent example. I have a small garden. It's not that huge. It's like 40 square meters, but it was full of weeds. So there were only two options. Either you can get a new turf,
burn it,
and you can replace the old turf, or you will reseed your garden. So what I did that I extracted the old turf. So one weekend I completely dedicated my time to my garden work, and I extracted the old sod and removed the old turf and weeds, and then I recultivated new seeds. And now after 10 days, I can see the results. Now there is grass.
Woohoo! Can you come over here next weekend, please? We need to walk the dog. But now that I know you're a lawn expert.
So now I'm feeling really, really satisfied and intrinsically motivated in a way that this was a thing that I never did before, and I have done it successfully, and it gave me lots of sense of accomplishment.
Let me ask you, how many times a day do you go to that window and look at your yard? How many times a day?
I did it many times. Don't ask me.
Okay. What happens every time you look at it? What happens? Happiness hormones, sense of accomplishment every time.
And let me share the funny story that the grass was not popping out. I could still see the seeds on last Sunday, and on Sunday afternoon I inspected the garden and I said that it's not working, it's not coming out. So maybe I have to reseed, or I have to order new turf completely.
You were getting impatient, weren't you? You were getting impatient.
Exactly. I was losing my temper. I said that, all hard work that I put in, it's going waste. I'm not an expert. It won't work. But on Monday morning, the moment I got up, 7 a.m., I went there and I wanted to water the garden, and I checked it out that, small, tiny little grass
because
was popping out.
It's because it rained. That was the missing ingredient, wasn't it?
And then I said, yes, it clicked.
I love this analogy. I love this analogy. Everything changed. You were frustrated. You were like, oh, I can just feel that when you tell this story. And then it rained. You had the missing ingredient that came in, and then it started. Oh, yeah. Send me a picture. I want to see your yard. And then
I will definitely send you on WhatsApp. I have it, and maybe I can try to show it over here, but I have to do a lot of, I have to convert it on the computer, then I can put it on the screen. I can definitely, if I could have planned it earlier, then maybe I could have shown it over here, but right now it's not possible.
And every time you go to the window and you look at that, you go, wow, serotonin, dopamine, I'm feeling, look what I did. And now, you know what, next time we're all together, he's going to say, that garden shed that I built in my backyard that's 55 square meters big, I didn't think I could do it. But let me tell you, I went to the Baumarkt and I bought this kit, and now I have a 55 square meter exercise room there. That's going to be the next thing, because you've done the garden now, and now you know you can do it.
Now I know how to do it. So there's always a first time, and I had my first time. Now the second time would be a lot easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's how motivation works. The hardest step is the first one.
Yeah.
So I think Kinza can also share some experience from her journey to Netherlands, and she settled in, and the time was really tough. Everything was kind of
COVID-19 really welcomed me.
Exactly. And you did this big move And I think you must have a lot of things to share, and you have to cope with your mental fitness in a way.
Oh, so I am an opportunist and a risk taker, as Renée is herself. So I thought, after working in my home country for a while, now is the time to take the leap. And well, I decided, I got this work visa. I came here all by myself, not knowing anyone at all here. So I said, let's do this, because challenges really, that's how I keep going. And whatever I fear the most, it's like, what's the worst that can happen? This is what you said earlier on. What's the worst? I mean, what? It won't work out. At least I won't regret not trying. So I packed my bags. I came here. 2 days later, lockdown. But hey, it's okay, because you see what the positive is. A lot of people have more time here. So because I'm actively looking for jobs as well. So I got to connect with people online. I've had so many coffee meetings virtually with recruiters. And also because you see now they have more time, so we can easily connect. Otherwise, it might have been more difficult for me to schedule an in-person meeting. And then I've been, taking a lot of online courses. I somehow or the other, whenever something really burns me down, I'm like, okay, think, like you mentioned earlier on, think, okay, this is the situation. What is your strategy to achieve your goal? So I don't really will, give up and all, but like, yeah, so this is, and I met amazing people online who've been great support, and I'm like making new connections, and it's amazing. It's amazing. The people here are amazing. The Dutch, I'm completely super impressed. So that's kind of great.
That is a
I mean,
great.
honestly, that was a great move.
That was.
If I put myself in your shoes, probably I would not have done that.
Yeah.
To be very honest.
I do a lot of adventure sports as well. So I'm kind of like, yeah. And when I was studying at Warwick University, so while everybody was just, I mean, yes, I was studying as well, but then I thought, okay, this is the time I flew a glider plane. I started taking rifle shooting lessons. So so I try to do things that really scare me. So the thing is, that's how I will discover my own potential. I can't do it from my own comfort zone. I need to push myself out, and I can't wait for anyone to do it for me. It has to come intrinsically. So that's my attitude on life, and that's how I am. And
we have to meet each other in person, because I have the same philosophy. I say, and I have to think of how to say it in English because I say it in German all the time, but I say that Mama Universe, I named God Mama Universe. Mama Universe gave us this gift of life, and we are verpflichtet is the word in German. We are held accountable. We are accountable for doing something with it. And for me, that's why I'm always pushing my limits. And I'm sure that's your philosophy too, is that we have to see what we can make out of this life. We have this need to make the most out of this life. And I find it, for me, it would be very sad to take the free ride. There's a song about taking the free ride in your own life. And for me, that would make me very sad and depressed if I was in that situation. I always say, I'm only comfortable being uncomfortable.
Spot on.
Yeah. When I have to sit there and be bored and say, okay, now what? I can't do it. But that's just different. That's different personality types, and we definitely have to meet each other.
I would love to, and we'll go hiking next step.
And Netherlands is not far away.
Yeah. It's right.
Borders to open, and then. But thank you for the continuation. And I think also discovering your purpose in life. Once you actually find your purpose, then I think it's just a smooth sailing. Then you make your way.
Yeah, you make your way.
You make your way.
You make your way when you have clarity, and that's what I love about both of you. You really are very clear people, and I think I'm a clear person too. Very clear about your intentions. Very clear about your goals. And then the momentum, the intrinsic motivation is there. And it's very easy to keep yourself motivated when you know why you're here, what you want to do, and then you just do it.
Thank you. Thank you for endorsing, and thank you, Naman, for the motivation, saying that I took a brave step.
Yeah.
No, I think it's kind of a lesson for everyone. It's kind of you can say example for everyone out there who are trying, who are on the verge of experimenting, such kind of steps. So for them, it's a clear message that they should go for it. They should not wait for the things to get normal. It might take 6 months. It might take 1 year. It might take 2 years. We never know.
Exactly.
So you cannot really limit your potential with time.
No.
So there's always good time for
No.
everything.
You have to make the time right. You can't just wait for it to be right. That's
Yeah.
another thing I believe in. Yeah.
I can't wait to have this discussion in 6 months. We have to do this again and hear how everything's going. Can't wait. It's cool.
So
Yeah.
I think we just have last 4 minutes left because we would like to wrap it up at 7 p.m. according to our time, and it's 1 hour discussion and 1 hour past.
That went
Like
fast.
anything, we did not realize that we have been talking from last 1 hour.
Certainly.
And let me check out some comments. So we have.
From our side, so hopefully it was fun for the viewer side too. So send us some positive comments if you liked our meeting today. It really, really was fun. Thank you for being here. Thanks to everyone for being here.
Thank you very much for you joining us. And you have a busy schedule, and today was a working day. I finished my home office thingy, and then I get online on my computer. And thanks to Kinza joining us all the way from Netherlands.
It's a pleasure.
And she's also doing kind of home office things, which I know. And she was also quite busy, but it was really, really a wonderful session, and a lot of things that I can take away as an individual, and I can learn a lot, from the things that you have mentioned about the positivity, mental fitness, and how can we keep ourselves motivated through during the time of crisis as well as during the normal circumstances. And we got some comments from Linda from Germany. She's saying enjoying throughout the session. That was wonderful. A lot of motivational talks. And then we also have a comment from Rashid. He's saying hi, hello everyone. And then we have a comment from Arjula Hussain. I hope I have pronounced your name correctly. He's saying, how are you all? We are all fine. You have heard us. And I hope you're also great and your family is doing fine too.
We're not fine. Right before this interview, I had an accident and fell up.
Oh, yes.
We are not fine. I'm sitting. Thank you for asking, because I'm sitting here with an ice pack on my knee. In the first 5 minutes, my husband was putting the ice pack on my knee. We're not fine.
But mentally, we are fine.
But nobody could tell, Renée. That's the thing. You are completely all right.
I like to share that authentically.
That's
I'm actually in the worst pain I've been in a long time.
But thank you so much. We really, really appreciate it. I mean, I can imagine the level of discomfort and still being here and being so energetic. Really, thank you. Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. But I just had to add that nice personal touch to the end of my interview. We made it. And I'm going to go sit in the whirlpool and try to fix my knee in a moment.
All right. So
good luck.
Again, thank you very much, Renée, for joining us and giving us wonderful ideas, sharing your thoughts, and providing us all these strategies to keep us mentally going and fit. And thank you very much, Kinza, for being the co-host and preparing those questions and helping me out in order to organize this session. So, guys, thank you very much, whoever watched us from all the parts of the world. So I wish you a wonderful evening, and stay home, stay safe, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and just stay positive.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.